He was on the same page with God. He has never seen it anywhere. He hasn't read it in any kind of science. No archaeologian has found a rod that was used miraculously in that way. He only cued into the will and the purpose of God as expressed in the words of God. God parted the Red Sea. Creation gave way. The sovereignty of God. No creation can question God. Why are you doing this? People used to cross big sea with bridge, and you are telling me to do. No, 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 it doesn't happen with God. If God wants to pass through this world, you dare not tell him that, sorry, sir, there is no door there. Does God know anything like a wall? And when you get these things right, you will have a restful Christianity, which is the motivation where we are going. A few more examples of the sovereignty of God, the fulfillment of prophecy through Jesus Christ. We will yet build on some of these thoughts. You know how Jesus came through a different tradition from what the Old Testament tradition knew. You knew all about the sufferings of Jesus, but God brought life from death. Who does such a thing? That by the death of someone, life came out, not to one person, but to every human being that ever had the breath of God. Sovereignty of God. We can go on and talk about the story of Jacob, the story of Joseph, the story of Daniel, the story of Esther. All those stories, as you know them, they are all about the sovereignty of God. These sound big examples, right? But I've been talking to you about the nitty-gritties of life, the complexity of life. So can we take contemporary example of everyday life? I want to share with you the story of a young lady called Amarachi. Some of you saw her story in the internet. Amarachi Risi. Amarachi Risi lost her parents, both father and mother, when she was 6 years. They were in Owerri. This story is trending. You can go and Google, just check Amarachi Risi's story. You read the whole thing there. She was 6. She lost her parents. And the landlord said, you people are cursed. You have a bad luck. I can't allow you live in my house. Get out of here. And there was nobody to take Amarachi in. Amarachi found herself at the age of 6 in Port Harcourt, living under bridge and going out to go and beg food to eat. One day she saw young people with green uniform and they were going to school. And she followed them, tiptoeing, and she saw the school. It was Royal King's Academy in Port Harcourt as at the time. And so the mama that is with Amarachi here, there's an elderly woman with her there. She was the cook of the school. So she will smuggle some crumbs and give to Amarachi behind the fence of the school. Day after day, so Amarachi found a place of getting lunch, and then she started listening to the lessons over the fence. So one day the teacher came. Behold, a young lady over the fence, an orphan, recited word for word the Shakespeare, whatever poems he was teaching the class. And he said, wait, who is she? And they say it's one orphan over the fence. When she ran away. But when eventually they found her, the teacher came with notebooks, came with bags, and told Mama Risi, whose picture you see, he said, please allow this girl to sneak to be staying at the back of the class. So Amarachi will come and stay at the back of the class. When Amarachi turned 17, and eventually she be registered for YA, that was when the authority said, who is this girl? We don't know her. Who registered her? Mama Risi had to tell a lie and say she's my niece. Please allow her. Amarachi wrote YA. Everything was ace. Excellent. Some missionaries gave her a scholarship. She went abroad, read first degree, second degree, came back to Nigeria, started a company. Company progressed, prosper, blessed. One day they said, we need to buy a property. And then when they found one, she checked closely, what is the address of this property? Royal King's College was available for sale. And she kept it to herself. She said, let's buy it. Bought the property, renovated it, and invited people. On the day of dedication, people were crying. And then she changed the name of the school that was once Royal King's Academy to Amarachi Risi Academy. She had to adopt Mama Risi's name as her surname, and that's why she's still known as Amarachi Risi. Today, that is the school called Amarachi Risi Academy, and all orphans go to that school for free. Sovereignty of God. When she was eating in a nylon bar behind the fence, she could have said, what did I do to God? When they called her a witch and they threw her out, she could have said, what is this life? But in the complexity of life, the sovereignty of God was involved. And today, she is not that orphan. This is her. I think you should give the Lord a clap of praise. And when you pay attention to these details, sometimes we are in a hurry. Because the full picture is not clear to you, you don't know. I'll tell you a second story. I'll tell you a second story. And it is the story of Mary Karanja, a missionary in one remote area of Kenya. I had the privilege to teach in a mission training program in Kenya about 5 years ago. Mary Karanja was in my class. She was eating everything. She had my stories of power encounter and everything. Even when I returned to Nigeria, Mary Karanja never allowed me rest. There are times I have had classes only for Mary Karanja online, only her. 2 hours class. My wife said, which course are you teaching? Which training program? I said, one young lady called Mary Karanja. Long story short, Mary Karanja eventually went to a very remote area where the gospel hasn't reached. The people rejected her. Morning, afternoon, evening was rejection. Turn here, rejection. But the time came that God began to open the door. I won't tell you all the story, but I will tell you the one of this picture you are seeing. So she prayed, God, so what do I do? What do I do? So a thought came to her. I want to connect with young people, but how? So just like a thought, and she said, let me go and watch soccer, football, where these boys are playing. So she went, and they were playing like a match. She watched the football. When it was halftime, she said she was going home because she didn't like how the boys were so rough. They were so rough on themselves. So he thought, say, why don't you go and talk to them and advise them to play it cool before you go home? Halftime, she doesn't want to watch the rest. So she went, gathered them, and began to talk as a Christian, talk as a mother. So you people should not hurt yourself. She just talk. Everybody was quiet. When she was done, she said she was going. Some of them say, excuse me, ma'am. Please, we don't have a coach. Can you be our coach? Because we like what you said. Say, can you be our coach? She said, okay, me. She wanted to say, should I say no? Should I say yes? God said yes. Tell them yes. And then she said, I've never even played football in my life. Not to say I will be a coach. Then she went online, searched materials on how to coach a football team. Today, Mary Karanja is the coach of these young people gathered before her. She sent me this newsletter with this picture just last week, so about 4 or 5 days ago, this picture came. That's her doing the training. And I've written her back. Sovereignty of God. So you saw big stories, right? And you see small story in everyday's life. So at this point, let's now do the presentation approach, where we will run with speed. Excuse me, is that clock correct? To be sure. If it's not correct, you better get me a timepiece here. Help me, if it's not correct, you better get me a timepiece here. Honestly, I need an affirmation. Is it correct? It's working well? Okay. Otherwise, you stay here. You should know. All right. So, talking about the sovereignty of God, because up to now we are not yet in the context of application. One of the challenges of the sovereignty of God is there are questions. For example, human free will. Since everything is determined by the will and purposes of God, so where is the place of the human free will that God has given us? The second question is the problem of evil in the world. Since God is in charge, God is in control over creation and the affairs of men, whether it is world history or politics or family, how about evil? Is God in control of Boko Haram? Is God in control of Fulani herdsmen? Is God in control of poverty? Is God in control of diseases? God is in control of dirty environment in Africa. This problem we are grappling with, that's one question that comes out when you discuss the sovereignty of God. That's not the end. The other deep theological question is, so why should we pray since God is sovereign? Because prayer. So why should I even pray? Because God will still do his will anyway. God will still focus on his purpose. Why should I pray? More questions, questions and more questions. The other question is, you don't even talk of the sovereignty of God. In the first place, does God exist? And if he exists, is he sovereign? Is God sovereign? All these are theological questions. The other question is, what is the nature of a sovereign God? Is God both good and evil? So if he's sovereign, is he only sovereign when it comes to evil? Or is sovereign when it comes to good? A bit philosophical, right? So what then are the benefits of the sovereignty of God, to man? These are the things that theologians will crack head. But I promise you, we're not going to go that line. We'll find some reflections here. Yes. So first, let's talk about the concept of God, because that's where it all begins. The idea of concept is when you hear God, what comes to your mind? Who is God to you? How do you see God? There are different worldviews. One of the first worldview about God is monotheism, right? This is the theology proper now, the real theology now. Monotheism, and it is the belief in one transcendent God, supreme God. Judaism, Christianity, and even Islam, this is the belief that we have about God. We are monotheistic religions. So no more than that. Then there is another worldview or concept of God. It's called competing dualism, and it means the belief that there are two opposing gods. There are two gods. So when you speak about God to people who belong to that religion called Zoroastrianism, I'm sure some of you have not heard there is a religion like this one, Zoroastrianism. My aim is not to teach you about that. My aim is to show you what is the concept of God in that religion. If you are witnessing to somebody who believes that, you tell you, so when you say God, which God are you talking about? The good one or the bad one? The one that, so the idea of God is competing dualism. Dual is two, right? So, but they are always competing. If I win, you know the rest. All right? Then there is another worldview. This is called polytheism. Polytheism, many gods. They believe in many gods. Example, tribal religions, Santeria, Voodoo, Shinto, these are religions that believe in many gods. I had the shock of my life. When I was studying in the US, I did a course. It was called Critical Issues in Mission, and it has to be called current issues in mission. And we were told to do a research. The research will be in a religion other than your own. So you can't go to a church because as I'm a Christian. Don't even do a research of a religion that is near to you. So coming from Africa, I wouldn't even go to a mosque to do my research. I was asked to choose whether to go to a Buddhist temple or a Hindu temple. And so downtown LA, there was a Hindu temple, and myself and another friend, we decided that, okay, we'll go and do our research among the Hindus and the Buddhists. And we came in the day they were having worship. When the Bible talks of people worshiping with fire, you don't know what it is. When the Bible talks of food being offered to demons, you don't know what it is until you go into that war. So we had to wait. You know that kind of, oh, wait, after the service, the pastor will see you. Not pastor this time, but the priest will attend to you. And in front of the altar, there were all kinds of gods. Huge number of idols. And so the service was over, using fire. They will come around dancing and pass the fire, the ring fire like that. Guess what? The pastor, some of us will say thank you politely. We are not involved in this kind of worship. And then they offer the food to the idols, and at the end, they share the food around and all the like. So finally, the priest now has finished, and we are to sit by the gods, the idols, to do the interview. And so I said, well, I noticed the interpreter, she was interpreting for us. I said, well, tell me about this idol. So, do they have names? Tell me about. He said, yeah, we believe in many idols. Did you come with one? If you come with one from Africa, we can also put you at the worship. Anyway, so there is polytheism. What I'm just trying to show you is that when you say God, don't just think everybody think monotheistically, one supreme God. No. There is competing dualism and polytheism and others that you see. Then there is the balancing dualism. So this is different from competing dualism. Competing dualism believes that the two gods in existence, they are always in competition. But balancing dualism says no. The two gods that exist, they try to balance to complement each other. And you know, this kind of ideology, we find it even in Africa. You know, when it comes to ATR, right? There is a small, I don't want to use the word flavor, part of balancing dualism. They say God is far removed, you can't reach him. So these intermediary spirits, these ancestors, you know, they are helping us to reach the one big God. Those of you who are students in seminary, this is a familiar ground to you. Then you have monism. Monism is the belief in an impersonal oneness. What that means is you cannot refer to God as a person. It's impersonal. And the example of this include Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Sufism, and the New Age movement. All right. Yesterday, I was listening to Dr. Hassan, and he has made reference to some of one or two of these ideas. And then you have atheism, which is very popular. Simply they believe that there is no God, not to even talk that this God is sovereign. So when you say the sovereignty of God, people from this other context ask you, which one, which God are you talking about? But understanding that that kind of concept exists will help our witness. Okay, there is still one, the abstract void. Ravanda Buddhism believes God is an abstract void. And you can go on and on and on. But what is our Christian belief? It will not be complete if we don't balance it with what we believe as Christians. All right? Those of you who can see, can you help me read? Let's go together. 1, 2, let's go. In the Christian faith, we believe in a personal God who is self-existent and changeless. His sovereignty is rooted in his role as the creator, owner, and sustainer of the universe. He brought everything into existence and continues to uphold and govern it according to his divine plan. The owner of this world has a plan, and he is leading his creation according to his plan. There is a second paragraph, don't be tired of reading, read it with me. The concept of God's sovereignty has significant implications for human life. It means that we can trust in God's wisdom and power, even when we don't understand what is happening around us. It also challenges us to submit to God's will and purposes in our lives. Prayer, in this case, is primarily an expression of such trust and faith in God. Okay, so let me talk about a few things here before we move on. Maybe I should have said this from the beginning. This is a theological paper, but developed for a non-theological audience. So